In our last video, we talked about how to pick that hollow body frog. Now we got a hook set them, so let's talk about recommended rod and reel that I like to use when I go frogging. So obviously you can throw a frog in a lot of different scenarios, whether it be in open water like we talked about, heavy grass and pads. But for me, I always go to select a rod that is going to handle the worst situation possible. And we'll kind of break that down based on the rod and the reel. But in a very casual video, I kind of just want to give you some experiences and feedback that I've had by using underpowered rods. So when we're talking about frogging, obviously we're doing a topwater bite. Could be in open water, which would be like any other scenario that you're going to hook set the fish, fight the fish, bring the fish in the boat. But there are some other factors that play into frogging in hydrilla and pads that I prefer to use heavy or a mag heavy. So let's just kind of get into the rod, and then we'll talk about the reel and then some situations that kind of support why I use these based off my experience. So regardless of brand, I kayak fish, right? So I like to gravitate to the 7'3" to a 7'6" heavy to mag heavy rod. And now obviously as you move up in your rod power, you're going to lose sensitivity in the tip and castability. So a mag heavy is generally my preferred method when I'm fishing open pad fields, right? I don't have to precision cast in these little pockets, or if I'm fishing really big grass mats. And the reason I want the mag heavy is because you don't only have to worry about the weight of the fish, right? You have to worry about the weight of the vegetation, or potentially wrapping your line in pads. And that a lot of the times is what causes people to lose fish when they're fishing lily pads. So with grass, it's pretty self-explanatory. The fish is gonna come up and eat it. You're gonna hook set the fish, and you need a very strong backbone to be able to pull in that weight. You'd never want to lose a fish because your gear is not capable of handling the fish. So for what I go for, I always look for a higher drag reel, generally 14 to 20 pound drag. I like to use 50-pound braid. I get the castability. So breaking down a grass rod, I like to use a mag heavy 7'3" to 7'6" generally. I don't need to precision cast into those pockets. So I just need something strong enough to be able to fight the fish, hook set the fish through grass, and then pull them in the boat with an extra 5 to 10 pounds of lettuce hanging off that fish's mouth. So with lily pads, I tend to stick to a heavy, to a mag heavy, same range, 7'3" to 7'6". And the reason I like the heaviest rod I can get is I've had situations where the fish will eat the frog. The fish is fighting them through pads. You're pulling yourself to the fish in your kayak and then just dislodges, right? I'm sure if you fish lily pads, you've had that happen. And most of the time what I found is your line is wrapping the pads and allowing the fish to get leverage to pull itself off. So the stronger my rod is, the easier I'm able to rip through those pads, not worrying about the rod's gonna snap, right? I'm able to pull hard, get myself fast to the fish, right? And lift up on the blank to get the fish out and rip those pads up. And I'm not capped by the rod keeling over under my kayak. I'm not capped by the rod not being able to handle that kind of abuse because it is a very, very heavy rod. Now, again, I'm gonna say it, you're gonna lose precision when you go up to this heavy of a rod. And a lot of people don't like that, but if I'm bomb casting open mats, it's not really my concern. I just need something strong enough to get them in and handle a hook set. So if I'm fishing poppers, popping style frogs in open water, or any frog that I need it to work a specific action, walking the dog or popping really small movements and walking, I will go down to a medium heavy sometimes. And that's only if there is no vegetation or timber to wrap myself in and I need to be able to precision cast and get really fine movements out of the rod tip. So you can do that with a heavy rod as well. I've had some 7.6 heavies that I can really finesse how I'm fishing my frog and cast really precision. But generally for me, I'll go medium heavy only in open water with smaller popping frogs. That's just because I know I'm gonna get the most precision casting I can get. I'm gonna be able to work the frog properly. If it is a technique style frog, meaning a walking frog or a popping frog that you need to be able to sway or walk, and it's still a really strong rod blank that you can be able to horse the fish in and not really have issues with extra vegetation hanging off of it. So we'll go through reels, because reels are another super important factor. I've lost a ton of fish on reels that have a very low drag system. Brand, not specific. I like to look for 14 to 20 pounds drag. And everybody has, most people, have a thumb. If you're having issues forcing your fish in and the braid is slipping, put your thumb on the braid, take it off, reel it, put your thumb back on it. It helps lock your drag. Now there are some drag systems that are locked, like the KastKing Deadbolt. I don't like using those. I do work my drag sometimes. So for me, 14 to 20 pounds drag for frogging is what I prefer. In case I mind slip and take my thumb off, it still has enough drag that fish is not going to pull and use leverage to get off. So when we break down our line, I know some people use monofilament. I am a braid person only. I prefer to use braid. I do not use a leader. I work a frog too fast to care about line shyness. I like to go with a 40-pound braid for general purpose everything, including poppers. I get the most casting distance out of it, and it's not super ropey, and I'm able to work the lure a lot easier with a lighter braid. But if I'm in heavy cover, I go 50. And a lot of people say they like 65, 60-pound braid. For me, it's not about the pound of your braid. It's about the diameter, right? So you have a lot of braids that a 40-pound will be the same diameter as a 50, so on. I like to stick to a 50-pound range, right? So this is Power Pro. OG Power Pro for me has been the most reliable. It is susceptible to wind knots, but I've hauled in alligators and stuff on it, so it's obviously pretty strong. But it is a thicker diameter than, say, a Berkeley X9, a Suffix 832, like a lot of people use. So 50 pounds is my standard. I've never broken off on a fish unless I didn't retie, or if the hook set angle was wrong, or if they had teeth like snakehead. So 50-pound braid is what I go. For frogging, obviously, you know, when you're punching and stuff, it's a little different. You're using heavier 1 to 2 ounce tungsten on a flipping weight. So you're gonna wanna go up a little bit, and that's a situation I would have 60 and higher. But for frogs, we're going 50. We're not gonna talk about breaking down rods because we already did that in that video right there about finding a good rod for a good price to start with. But overall, for my recommendation, again, I'm a beginner. I like to go 7.3 to 7.6 heavy, depending on the brand and sensitivity. Reel, I like anything from 14 to 20 pounds worth of drag. You got your thumb though, don't forget that. And then for braid, I'm going between 40 and 50, depending on the diameter and the style of frog I'm working. We touched on frogs a lot because it is a big part of my fishing style, especially from the kayak, and I am a bank beater, as some people will joke. So I do love throwing a frog all year long, but a lot of the misconception with frog fishing is, 1, what frog am I using? 2, what gear do I need to frog, right? Is it important to have these different things? High drag, super heavy braid, broomstick. No, you don't need all that. The biggest advice I can have for you is dissect where you're frogging, dissect where you're fishing, anything technique specific, and adjust from there, right? If you see there's not a lot of vegetation, you can go down in power, right? If there's not a lot of huge, gigantic fish in your area and need a little more casting distance, you can go down on the braid size a little bit. And obviously you have to learn from your failures. If you fish a certain thing and it breaks off, or you snap it, or the reel isn't working, go up a little bit. I like to start high and work my way down to see where my wiggle room is. That way I'm not losing fish in the beginning. If anything, I know, oh, this rod's too overpowered. I can go down and get some more sensitivity. This reel's a little too beefy. I can go down to, you know, a 150 size reel instead of a 200 or 300 series reel. When I find what works for me, I stick to it. And the only time I ever switch it is if I need to refine the process again. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm just a dad that likes to go fishing and want to make sure you guys are getting the right information. From my experiences, get a lot of questions on social media, but as always, make sure you guys get out there, get fishing, and I appreciate y'all's support, and we'll see you on the next one.